You have to be careful about confusing the mercy and grace of God with you not being wicked. A common mistake people could make is thinking they're not all that bad because they were given a short sentence or a grace, mercy, really. I'll give you an example from my personal life. A certain family member that I told many times before about my Shabbat not to bother me and that I honored God, Elohim, the Torah. They know this, and yet they keep trying to disrupt my Shabbat and dishonor me. And I rebuked them and blocked them. And then after a week or two, I unblocked them. Not because they deserve it, but because I have mercy and grace on them. I know there's no other righteous voice in their life. They have no one else to give them light. The problem is that people tend to think that they were right and I was wrong. That is why I reverse the punishment. And that makes for even a greater crime, the sin of pride. You ever seen that in your life? I'm sure you have. Somebody did something, you did something to them as a result, a judgment, and then you kind of felt sorry for them. So you brought them flowers, and then they say, you brought me flowers, so you admitted you were wrong and I was right. No, I do not. No, you are wrong. I just felt sorry for you because you don't even get it. Which is why I gave you flowers. Which is why I unblocked you. Which is why I did this, whatever thing is. Not because you deserve it, but out of my own benevolence of mercy and grace. The Lord brought us back to the land after 2,000 years of exile. You think we deserved it? No. You saw what we did in Europe. The Holocaust was a judgment. Read Ezekiel 36. Says so very clearly, very relevant to this very day. I will bring you back to the land, yes, but not because of you, Israel, because you defile my land, and now you defile and profane my name amongst the nations. So in fact, the only reason God, Elohim, brought us back here is for his name's sake, because we profaned it amongst the nations. He's like, well, I'm going to get you out of those nations so that my name would stop being profaned, and I will bring you back to the land. For his name's sake, not ours. We have nothing to do with it. So don't boast and say, we were righteous and the Jews in exile. You know, the Hasidic Orthodox Jews, all those Chabad people, they're so prideful and arrogant. It's horrible to witness. They're so full of themselves. Every Jew is a diamond. Every Jew, shut up already. You are the most racist people on the planet. No wonder people hate us all around the world. You know, they have a ruling. They say, you can defraud a goyim and Gentile. You can lie to them and cheat them. It's okay. Just don't cheat a Jew. So you can do fraudulent business with Gentiles. That's what the Chabad people say. And they think that's Torah. And you think the Lord wants to bless a people like that? Read the prophets, Yirmiyahu, Isaiah, Ezekiel. The Lord is a God of justice. He said to Abraham, all nations will be blessed. How are the nations are going to be blessed? Because you rip them off, you cheat them, you lie to them, you steal their money, like the Rothschilds did, manipulate the results of the war against Napoleon, getting the early bird notice, telling people that they lost or they would sell their money, then they realized they won and they would buy the money back. They did that. Jews, the Rothschilds. And you think the Lord wants to bless that kind of people? No. And that's the whole point, really, why he chose Israel. Think about this for a moment. This will bake your noodle. Because we do not deserve his blessing. If we did, it would be about us. We would get prideful. Look at us, the perfect nation. We've done everything right. No. As a matter of fact, we've done most of the stuff wrong. Therefore, we showcase the mercy and grace of God, Elohim, Adonai, not because we deserve it, but because He is really that good. That even though we dropped the ball, even though we did everything we did, He has mercy. He loves us, and He still brings about a blessing. Wow, how great God is. And as children of Elohim, that is what we are called to do, which is why, like I said, I block and I unblock. I block and I unblock. I punish, I have mercy. You rebuke and then you comfort. Because we are all flawed. And that's why the Lord said, blessed are the merciful, they will be shown mercy. We are all flawed. Sure, they keep bothering you, they keep doing this. Well, block them for a few days, for a week, 2 weeks, and then, okay, give them a piece of cake. And if they get prideful again, block them again. It's like you discipline, right? You be the example. The Lord, He kicks them out of the land, He brings them back. He kicks them out, He brings them back. That's what love does. Yeshua said, what good is it if you only love those who love you? If you're only kind to those who are kind to you? Don't even the tax collectors do that? That's the whole message. The Lord, the Creator, He reigns on the just and the unjust. He gives sunshine to both. Let Him be the judge. On the ultimate day of judgment, we know that each man will be given according to his own deeds. Not what was done to him, but what he did. Remember that. Sure, they bother you, they do this, they cuss you out, they embarrass you, they molest you, they do all kinds of things. But what are you doing? We understand, the Lord get it. The Lord understands your circumstances, therefore He has mercy and grace on you. But nevertheless, as much as you are capable, what are you doing? Did you show grace and mercy when you were able to? Remember, like Paul said in the letters, he's talking about all these people, the outcast, and he says, well, such were some of you before you repented. Annoying, hateful, violent, promiscuous. So don't go around judging so much, pronouncing executions on people just because they're imperfect. So are you. So you be the example and be the light. Don't let them walk all over you and disrespect the faith, but at the same time, don't throw them to the dogs. As long as you have breath in your lungs, represent to them the mercy and grace of God, so that you might glorify your Father who is in heaven. So that, who knows, they might just repent and be saved. They're like, wow, I did all that to you, and you still hold fast to your faith? Well, that's the story of Stephen and his father, and he can tell you all about it. I'm sure he will, and I'll put it at the end of this message. You are the light of the world. Let your light shine.
What are you willing to forgive? Well, I hope everything. It frees you. You see, when you forgive, you give yourself a get-out-of-jail card. Because unforgiveness keeps you locked up, bottled up, choked up, and messed up. You got to give yourself a get-out-of-jail card. So to forgive is to give you freedom from what was done. You have to stop being a victim. You have to forgive because God forgave you. And forgiveness also frees the other person from being messed up, bottled up, choked up. It gives them an opportunity to say, wow, I'll do better. You got to forgive. No, they may not, and you may not. But when you do, you free them and you free you. I had to do that with my father growing up, being abused verbally and physically. But I forgave my father long, long before I needed any psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist, or counselor. I realized that actually in my preteen years, because when you have the wisdom of God, you can realize things a lot sooner. It took me a few years because I suffered since I was 5 years old. But by the time I was 10, 11, I understood to forgive my father. 12, I understood to forgive my father. I was able to see that he was hurt, he was broken, and he didn't know how to do better, even though he knew better, because he was bottled up, chained, bound by the abuse of his father and by what was in his own mind. It was understandable, not excusable, just understandable. It's understandable. You have to understand why people are the way they are. And don't be so quick to attack them. You got to understand why they laugh out loud so loud, or why they're bipolar, or whatever it is. Why they like one thing and you don't like it, or why they condemn, why they have a weakness towards one thing that you don't have. Don't get arrogant and be prideful because someone has a fault or something that you notice. How arrogant of you. Are you all that stupid and that arrogant? You forget, as Guy said, such were some of you before you were saved? What's wrong with you? Such were some of you really, as such as still are you. Where is your love? What is wrong with so many of you? The scripture says the love of many will grow cold, and it has. Now, you can't even love someone when they are righteous, much less love someone when they're not. So don't tell me you found out something about somebody or they finally did you wrong. You liars. Before they did you wrong, before you found something out, you were not loving them. You were not righteous. Now you have an excuse to justify your lack of love and your wickedness. You fools, you destroy yourselves because you never intended to be anything better than yourself. That's why people love. They love to pull down someone better than they do. They love to point something out. I worked for a company that did that for 20-something years. Oh, they would forgive the worst things. The president of the company forgave a vice president that absolutely robbed and stole him and took his goods to another company and then hired him back. When I asked why, he says, oh, well, I have to forgive him. Why? Well, I would have done the same thing. Interesting. Interesting. I would have done the same thing. Can I really be mad at the guy that stole the leads from my company, took it to a rival? I would have done that too. So of course I would forgive him. But let me make the smallest infraction, like see someone write a nasty word in their cubicle, and I walk past to erase it. All hell breaks loose. How dare you? That was her cubicle. How dare? Well, it was in view of everyone. Every time we walked up and down the aisles, I couldn't stand it. I erased it. It's a cubicle. It's not a private office. And you own it. Every desk is under your authority, not theirs. Oh, he went off. The rest of them can put up witches and nastiness, hanging, make sexual jokes, illicit comments. But the first time I Well, yeah, this is against company policy. Okay. You go say you're sorry. Yes, and I did go say I was sorry. Of course. And I think I gave her a gift. I'm sorry I came in your cubicle and erased that. I was just so offended by it. But it was my space. I understand. She was one of those caring people. But the president of the company was wicked. He defended wicked people all the time. He did wickedness with the employees himself all the time. But the smallest phone call he would get, well, he offended me when he called me on the phone. That's right. Oh, yeah, you got to call that company back and apologize. You've offended them. I didn't rape anyone. I didn't take advantage of anyone sexually. You did those things. I get it. Of course I'll call and apologize because I don't want to disparage your name. The company's named after you. How dare I disparage your name? Sure, I'll do that. But when someone would wrong me, he would do nothing. The world is wicked, and they will hate you when you're righteous. And when you're righteous, any small flaw they find in you, they'll take that to the bank to cash. You are no friends. You are liars. You were liars from the beginning. You have no love for me, much less God. You were lying from the beginning. I watched how he would bend over backwards for a wicked man in that company. He would not bend over backwards for me. I prayed with his sick father many times when his sick father was on his deathbed. You see, when you hate God, you will hate the righteous. And you'll try to find fault with the righteous and God. Oh, how can God? That's it. I'm not serving God. My baby died. My mother died. My sister died. My friend died. That's it. Evil people killed children. And I'm done with God. You blame God. You'll never give him credit, but you'll always look for something to blame him because your heart was never with him. You have no love. You're full of hate, misunderstanding, and confusion, yet you think you get it. Lack of wisdom, you fools. And like I've said before, you who think you are so smart with no wisdom, barely know the Lord and have barely grown, and you haven't grown at all. You might as well take that Bible and throw it away, by the way, because as I've told you many times, Moses sinned. David sinned. The Apostle Paul sinned. Oh, there's a whole litany of characters. You better cancel them. What has happened to all of you? Your lack of knowledge. Why do you go and bend over backwards to loan money, give money to the devil and to your wicked friends and to people in your company that you work with? But when a man of God and a servant of the Lord needs something, you pitch pennies at them. What is wrong with you? Why do you put the women and yourselves above God? Why do you put politicians above God? You talk more about a president and a presidential candidate than you do the Lord. Why is your hobby more on your mind? Because you refuse to learn, and you refuse to be mentored, and you refuse to grow. And you're living in the past of what was done to you by your mommy, your daddy, your sister, your brother, your uncle, your aunt, your grandpa, your grandma. Someone in your childhood bothered you, molested you, abused you. Get over it. Let the Lord heal you of that. Stop making other people pay the price of what was done to you. Be healed. Be whole. Only God can do it, and he's willing. Are you? Forgiveness gives you a pass from the past into your future. Because you get to let go of a chain and grab hold of a vision. When you are arrested, they handcuff the left and the right hand. The left. See, the left is what was done to you. The left is the victim. The left is the one that was wrong. The left is the one that was hurt. The right hand is the hand of vengeance, retribution. The right hand vindicates what was done to the left hand. So when you're arrested, you are arrested for both. You're arrested for what the right hand did because of what was done to the left hand. Someone robbed you, someone stole from you, someone cheated you, someone abused you, someone wronged you, and the right hand is there. Don't worry, left hand. We'll get back at them. And with the right hand, we take vengeance, vindication, retribution. So when we are caught, it is both the victim and the victimizer. But when we are freed, we freed both hands. You are free to move on, to let go of what was done to you. You are free to forgive. And now you are free, not for vengeance. No. No more vengeance, but for penitence, forgiveness. Now you get the opportunity to make right what was done that made wrong. And with that right hand, you will heal instead of kill. You will build instead of destroy. You will forgive instead of remember and become bitter. Now you're free to no longer live under the penalty of what the right hand has done and the guilt, anger of the left hand for what was done to it.